All right, welcome to Glitch Cube, we're a gaming podcast, and each week we take a deeper look into the art of video games. I'm Christian.
I'm Chris.
And let's start things out. I mean, this is going to be the first episode of the new year.
Woo.
Right? It's kind of exciting. And I do have one question for you. You've mentioned this a few times. You're beating 40 games for the year 2020. Did you do it?
I did.
Nice.
I kind of rushed the last two because I only had a day or two left of the year, and I was like, I really, really want to play a long game, but I'm just gonna be cheap, play 2 short games, and I did it. They were actually pretty good too, so I don't regret my decision.
What'd you finish it with?
So for game 39, it was Gone Home.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing about this game. I don't want to say controversy because there's nothing really controversial about it. I guess just because it came out during the whole Gamergate time.
Yeah.
It got all that heat, and a lot of people were mad that it was like a 2-hour-long game just walking around looking for clues. And I went into the game thinking it'd be like kind of like Myst, right? Like those old school, like explore, find like hints of why you're there, and then do a couple puzzles, and that's it. I was a little let down that there really were no puzzles in the game. It was literally just like walking the different rooms and getting a backstory on your sister.
Right.
Which was cool. Like they kind of went in depth about that, but I'm just like, I don't understand like the positive hype it got. Like it was okay for what it was, but I've definitely played better. I don't say walking simulators, but I played better games like that. You look at Stanley Parable, and for me, like I use that one as like the pinnacle for these kind of walking narratives. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
That game is funny. It switches things up, and it's just great. And I don't know, Gone Home, like it had a cool vibe. Like for some reason, they picked this. It felt like a haunted house. And I was
like, the vibes
this...
of all the artwork too. Like it just made it seem like that was the direction it was going, and then it became something different.
I mean, you start out with your luggage in front of the house, and it's raining. There's weird sounds on the window, and I'm like, ooh, this is gonna get spooky. Like I'm down for a little like spooky game at night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going around the house, and it's like you hear little sounds, and you get a phone call from your sister saying like, help, I need your help. And I'm like, oh shit, like this is gonna get real quick,
Mm-hmm. Right.
And yeah, it's kind of spooky going down the hallways, but nothing really scary happens. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a bummer. I don't know. I think that was a big thing with a lot of people too, is that they thought there may be some kind of like spookiness to it, but no, nothing ever happened.
Yeah, I haven't played that one, but the vibes definitely gave off that like this is going to be a horror game, or at least something to that extent.
Yeah,
so that's a shame.
But I finished it with a much better game.
Nice. So what's the final one? What was the end cap to the year?
Cat Quest.
Nice.
I liked it. Like it was simple and straight to the point, but it was fun. Like it's just your simple, like I don't say hack and slash, but I mean it was like it's a very simple action RPG. Like you're gaining levels, you're gaining armor, and I was surprised how much armor is actually in the game, like weapons. Like they actually did a lot of work with putting so much stuff in there, and I was amazed, like the amount of side missions and dungeons. Like I could have spent a lot longer with the game doing like a lot of the side content, but I mean I got my fill after I think I put in like 20 hours into it. Like I put quite a bit of time into it.
That's not bad at all.
For a game that I thought it was going to be done in like 5 hours, like it was actually really enjoyable. I kind of want to play the sequel.
Yeah, the sequel looks great. I mean, same cute art assets and all that, and then it's just more. And the
it's co-op too.
Yeah, the co-op nature sounds really interesting.
So, yeah, nice. I really enjoyed it. I look back at the year, and it was kind of, there were times when I thought I wouldn't be able to complete this list, especially towards maybe October, as I was looking at my backlog, and I'm like, I kind of want to shoot for some of the bigger titles, right? Like I have Xenogears, I have like all these old like RPGs that I just really want to play, but I'm like, I'm not going to be able to finish these 50-hour games, 60-hour games fast enough to get through this. So I need to maybe substitute 5 short games and then throw 1 long game in there. That way, like I also don't get burnt out either.
Yeah, because I mean, if you filled that 40 game list with a bunch of like 80+ hour games, that would have been way too much. There's no way you would have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with a busy schedule, like it's a hard, like I look at it now and I'm like, damn, like I was so lucky growing up to have so much time playing games. And even like for some years in my adulthood, there was a little bit of time where I wasn't really working too much, and I was able to work from home, and I was like playing games a lot. And looking back now, I'm like, damn, like I could have spent that time like playing better games. I could have done other stuff, but you know, it's nice being able to juggle both and still actually have time to play games, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? Looking back at what you did and thinking about what you could have done. Yeah.
True. That's why I'm excited for 2021. Like, there's big plans and a lot of different things with my stuff, and then with Glitch Cube in general. Like, I'm excited for this next year. I think it's going to be a great year.
Yeah, and we've said it from, I mean, the start of this, that we set all this up so that we can ensure that 2021 starts off with a bang, and that we are going in the right direction, at least for not just our content, but what we want to do in the future, right? So that's all this was, is just us building up to this year, and hopefully it goes as well as we plan.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. I think it will.
The new year coming up, and like for me, I feel like 2020 was a little bit of a lull year for gaming, and we kind of ran into that issue when we were doing our best games of 2020, right? We talked about that for them. But what are you excited about for 2021? What's on your radar? What are you looking for?
That's a good question. I actually been thinking about this because at first when I looked at some of the lists, I'm like, nothing really looks interesting. But after putting some thought into it, like honestly, the first game that really pops out to me might be The Medium.
Oh yeah, that looks really cool from what I've seen.
It comes out at the end of January, and it looks cool because I like how it's like a parallel universe kind of horror game. And if I remember right, it's done by the same people that did like Layers of Fear, which, you know, I have faith in it.
Yeah. Layers of Fear is fantastic.
So that one, if anything, in January is the only one I'm really excited about. I wish I could be into Hitman. Like, I know a few of my friends are very excited for the third game to come out, but I don't know. It's weird because I love playing stealth in, like, say, Assassin's Creed or other titles, but I feel like maybe because it's always stealth in the Hitman games, it never jumped out at me, you know? And then
those games look fun, but they look more fun to watch than to play.
Yeah. That's a good point. Well, and the Scott Pilgrim game is getting re-released, which I'm kind of excited about. I mean, I booted up my 360 the other day, and I played a little bit of it, and I'm like, it'd be really nice not having to use my 360 for this. Like I'm definitely gonna get it when it comes out again, because it's just,
I love that game. I love that movie. Everything about that. Yeah.
And it's 2 players, so we could play together.
Nice. Yeah.
Brawl it up.
We definitely have to play that one.
So. Looking at February. Maybe Bravely Default 2. I mean, I never beat the first one. I think I got halfway and then I just stopped for some reason. That
game's fun. Same though. I got pretty far in it, and then I think I got beat by a boss, and then I was like, meh.
The combat just feels weird. I don't know. The whole, like,
the brave system's kind of funky. So
yeah,
But
But kudos for them for trying something different.
yeah, and I will definitely play the next one. I mean, I played the demo, and the demo looks amazing. It's just as hard, but should
I
be
thought it
fun.
was really beautiful. Like I love the way they have the town set up.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'll probably get it at some point.
yeah, no, I think it'll be
Um,
good.
weirdly enough, I'm looking at this list, and for some reason, the Super Mario 3D World really stands out to me. I don't know why. I think maybe I've been really wanting to play Mario again,
Mm,
and I've heard good things about the 3D World back on the Wii U, and obviously never really played anything on the Wii U, so I'm kind of interested in that. I don't know why, but
yeah,
it sounds fun.
I mean, it's Mario. You can't really go wrong. So
Yeah, Little Nightmares 2 looks good too.
there's a new Nier game coming out.
Oh, dude, I am so excited for that. Like
Yeah.
when they announced it at I think it was Tokyo Game Show, I saw that they were releasing like the special limited box of it right on the Square Enix site.
Mm-hmm.
I jumped on it. Like I wanted it cuz I loved Automata so much. Like from games that I beat last year, that was easily in my top 5.
Yeah.
The game's amazing. It's depressing, but it's amazing. And it's interesting because I never played Nier on the 360 or PlayStation 3, and I understand both are kind of different.
Yeah. I
So
played the
I'm
original
really
Nier. I haven't played Automata yet, but I have it. And it's on my list. So
definitely play it. I think you would like it. It's definitely interesting.
yeah, the first Nier was awesome. It was one of those I just picked up randomly and ended up being a really fun game. So
Yeah, I need to play it. I have it. I just haven't touched it.
and then for me, the one that it still doesn't have an official release time yet, but it says 2021, Biomutant. I'm so excited for that one.
Oh, that's where you play as a cat, huh?
Or any kind of critter you want. Yeah.
Oh, the furry game. Got it.
Yep. That's right.
I knew you were a furry.
Well, I mean, a little
I
bit.
mean, hey, nothing wrong with it. I'm not judging.
Yeah, but you got guns and mechs and blades, and you can mutate
And
yourself.
fur.
And fur. Yeah, lots of fur. Yeah.
Mutating fur.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm stoked on that one.
It actually does look kind of cool. I remember seeing a trailer. I remember seeing something about it, like, I don't know, like a year ago, I think. And I was like, oh, it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, there's been a lot of buzz, but nothing really happening lately. So,
Yeah.
and then Little Devil Inside supposed to be coming out this year too.
Little Devil Inside.
Hopefully that one actually does.
I'm surprised you're not like jumping straight to Monster Hunter Rise since you're such a fan.
I need some time off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent so many hours on that. I think my Xbox One, I have like 300 hours, and I'm like, and I have it on Xbox and PlayStation. So,
oh god,
yeah, so
that's too much.
A little break would be good.
You know, this is a title. Well, this comes out in March too, and it's when I first saw the trailer for it, I didn't like it. Right, I didn't think anything of it, but now that I'm looking it up. Have you seen anything on Balan Wonderland?
No, I haven't. Haven't even heard of it.
So, if I recall, it's made by the same guy that did Knights on Sega Saturn and stuff like that. So it's kind of
cool,
kind of weird. Yeah. Has a very the stuff he's known for. It looks kind of obtuse like that, and it sucks because the trailers haven't really shown much on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like weirdly interested in it because it's just so odd looking.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one I'm gonna have to keep an eye on. And then let's see. Oh wow, there's like Harvest Moon and then the actual other one coming out too. Crazy. But yeah, this year it's like, I mean, there's a lot of like unannounced, you know, there's so many that because of COVID and other stuff, they just are getting pushed back. I remember, and I got Far Cry 6 for the special edition because I don't know why it comes with a flamethrower. And now I'm like, I kind of don't want it anymore because now it's pushed back indefinitely. And I'm like, well, I might as well buy something else with it. And I'm looking at this list of all the games that might be coming out next year, and it's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, it looks like 2021 is definitely going to be a much better year for gaming.
I think so too. I think especially if some of the big names come out like Halo and God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn's sequel, I think it's going to be another strong year.
Yeah. And I think we need it, especially after last year.
Yeah, because I mean, this 2020, like you look at the big games that came out, and I mean, Ghost of Tsushima was awesome. I haven't touched Last of Us Part 2.
No, same.
And I feel like this year or last year wasn't that strong for titles, and I'm hoping this next year will be stronger, more diverse.
There's definitely some good ones, but we need some diversity. That's what we're missing.
I feel like indie games really prevailed for 2020.
Yeah.
I feel like it always switches every year. Like AAA do really well for a year, and then indie takes over the next year, and then it flips.
Right.
Oh, a new Leisure Suit Larry. Wet Dreams Dry Twice. Definitely playing.
Oh, gosh. All right, so how about we jump into the topic of this little episode here. So we mentioned it, it's 2021. This is the first episode of the year. And what does everyone do, right? We make our resolutions. We are always trying to better ourselves and constantly look forward to the future and come up with new ways of doing things better, right? And just being a better version of yourself. And, it's hard. And so I can't tell you how many times I've fallen off my resolutions. I'm sure you have as well. And one thing that I really try and strive for it's the term gamification, right? You want to gamify your life. You want to make these little rewards for yourself in order to give yourself, make sure that your progress feels strong, right? Like you actually feel like you accomplished something, right? So what's kind of like your take on gamification before we go into more of the definitions and stuff like that?
Like, how do I gamify my life?
Or what do you think about it? Like, is it something you enjoy? Like how, or even, do you have any examples of how you've gamified your life?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even when I was younger, I think it really started for me after I played The Sims. I was like, oh my God, life is just like The Sims. Like there's so many aspects, we're a simulation, but it's
the Matrix.
Exactly. That's all we're in. Yeah, it's between that and then I don't know, in high school when the 360 came out and achievements were a thing, I used to think like, what if we got achievements for doing like stuff in real life?
Right. Yeah.
And I used to think that way. Like it sounds dumb, but it actually helped motivate me to do a lot of things. Cause I'm like thinking to myself when I'm doing it, like, ding, like just got an achievement or a trophy, like for doing this. And it feels good. Like I always was like, it'd be cool to have like an app that just, I mean, you can record it in there, say like just graduated school or something like that. And it would pop up an achievement for you, like
nice.
I don't know. That's how I look at it. Like do everything as like kind of like a goal or an achievement. But yeah, sometimes I think about like when I work out or when I used to work out, thinking like, oh, it's like leveling my stats. I'm leveling my strength, or if I'm doing the treadmill, my agility is going up. I do it for a lot of stuff. And, now talking about it, I'm thinking, damn, like I really like look at my life as a game almost in a good way, not like in a bad way where I'm just going to do stealth mode and steal everything, cheese wheels, but
you're not walking up and breaking pots as soon as you walk into a house, right?
I mean, I could, but
you could if you want to. Yeah.
Maybe my second life.
There you go.
In Second Life.
Right. Second Life and Second Life while playing Half-Life. Yeah. No.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Get the crowbars ready.
There we go. Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like as a gamer, like you already are predisposed to this idea of gamification, and you already do it on a daily basis without knowing it. And what's funny is a lot of us already are doing this without actually fully thinking about it, and we've been exposed to the idea of gamification our entire life, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to, like, let's say, remember back in preschool or whatever it may be, if you did something good, you got a little like sticker or gold star put on the wall. So, and then you can trade in those points to get, like those little dollar store trinket toys. But at the time you thought it was the coolest thing ever. It's like, oh, I got a little like finger monster, like cap thing, right? Like those little like weird, like you can get from a gachapon machine, right?
You know what it reminds me of?
Hmm.
I don't know if you had this in school or not, but growing up, we used to get these badges, and if you had to read like I think 5 or 6 books, and if you got stickers for every book, you would get a free pizza from I think Pizza Hut.
See, that's awesome. But that's
Oh
a
my god,
perfect
I
example
know.
of it. It's that's the point system, right? So you're accruing points. There's rules to this like little contest that you're setting up for yourself, and then you get rewarded at the end for what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the total, like, that is gamification in a nutshell. And a lot of people are doing it. A lot of companies actually instill this practice in their stuff. As far as like retail environments, top sellers of, like, let's say you take a car salesman, right? You get commission off of it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can become the top seller within that brand, right? So the more cars you sell, the more reputation you gather, and the more money you get. So that's your reward system there, and that's the incentivized way of doing things, and it works. I mean, gamification definitely does work, and it helps us out tremendously, to get through some of these, like, more, I would say, like, remedial tasks, right?
Mm-hmm.
It makes it easier to deal with those things. Um, but I feel like for us, at least, we talk about RPGs constantly here,
Mm-hmm.
and the daily grind. Everyone's heard that term, right? This
I
is
would hope so.
definitely right. Like us doing RPGs, we are used to the grind. Like we will go out there for hours on end and repeat the same damn task over and over again just to level up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's that same process. It's all of that kind of instilled into one thing, and that's gamification. And it's just, I don't know. For me, at least, I feel like it's super helpful in a lot of ways. Like, yes, there are some negative side effects to gamification, or potential ones. I guess it just depends on your own personal outlook on it, right?
Like how
So,
far you take it. I mean, some people could be they see like a chart, right?
mhm,
And I mean, this is kind of leading into what I'm like thinking about with how a lot of apps do it now, but
yeah,
you see it where there's say like a circle, right, for completion. You're at 2 out of 8. Some people could see that and they'll actually like push themselves like to finish all of it
hmm,
right away. It could cause stress. Like it's for some people, it I could see it stressing them out because what if they can't complete something, or they see these things that they could have, but it overwhelms them.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Was the fact that while gamification is good because it's an easy way to see your progress and where you're going and where you've been, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also puts those scores up for other people to see, which then could be very negative in a sense, right? Where you
Yep.
start comparing yourself to other people's success. And then, like, yes, that could breed healthy competition, and that's potentially good, right?
Yeah.
But there's always that fine point where it tips over to something a little too far, right? Where that competition then becomes even a type of hatred towards that person, or it
Yeah.
could lead you to even just giving up and, like, completely, right? It's like, well, I'll never be as good as, them. So why would I even try? Or why am I continuing to do something that I don't actually enjoy doing and I'm not very good at it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
with that kind of stuff, that's the potential downsides to it all, but there are ways of kind of getting around that, right? I mean, we've kind of, as I hate this a lot, actually, the participation award, right? But I mean, that is a potential way of working around that issue, right? But it does make it where it's like, here you go, you showed up,
Everybody gets a point.
right? Good job. It's like, no, there needs to be something more to that, right? Like, I feel like we need to have that sense of winning and losing throughout life. You just need to know
Well, it's
how
just
to cope with it.
competition.
Yeah. And
I
that's
feel
good.
like people have stopped. It's like it's gone both ways. You get people that don't want to compete at all, and then you get people that are too competitive, right?
Right.
And I've seen the difference even from like when I was growing up to now. It's like it's it's totally different, and it's weird because I mean it's not that many years, but yeah, it's definitely interesting because I even at work I can see that where some people are so.
Oh, they watch you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm like, come on, it's wild. I don't know.
Yeah.
People have
No.
too much time on their hands.
That's what I always think. Like, if you have that much time to sit there and judge, like, you're not doing your job.
Exactly.
Like, you might as well just put your head down and work.
It's interesting, like when you look at how apps nowadays have, I guess you can call them tracking features, but I guess it's also achievements depending how you look at it. And I've been trying to learn to code since, I don't know, I can't get a hold of counselors at my school, so I'm just taking matters in my own hand right now.
Nice.
And
Congrats. That's awesome.
thank you. Trying to do something. And like I've been using the app Solo Learn. This is not an ad, by the way. I'm doing like Solo Learn. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like there's, circles, like daily bonus experience, and like all this stuff to kind of like learn different languages. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like it kind of pushes me to learn it, right?
Team Treehouse is another good one too, like that.
Which one?
Team Treehouse, and they have like achievements and badges and things like that. It's kind of fun.
No.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for achievements and stuff like that. So it's like when I find something, it's just I want to do it because I want to complete it. And
Right.
I mean, sadly, that didn't work for me with Duolingo. Like I tried learning a language, and it's like I see the circle, and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to fill it up, but at the same time, it's like I don't really want to keep saying the same phrase in Spanish like 5 times in a row. Like it's just, I don't know. Sometimes like that kind of stuff can burn me out too. Like if I try too much, it's just, I don't know. What have you seen any apps or programs like that?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few apps out there now that, so it seems like the app market is actually starting to blow up, right? And it's as far as these kind of apps that help with the gamifying of life and everything, and it's more in the form of like the habit forming apps, right? So that's a one good, like really strong like argument for gamifying life is through habit forming, right? And you're just trying to create strong habits to be a healthy person, right? Whether it's healthy in mind, body, spirit, whatever it may be. There's definitely an app for that out right now. And I think one of the first apps to really push the market was Zombies Run. Have you heard of that? So Zombies Run was awesome. It's actually won quite a few awards for the narrative story that it tells, but it's a running app, obviously. But what it does is that while you're running, it'll drop in little snippets of a story where you become a runner for some group of like survivors. And while you're running, you like pick up supplies and things like that, and you can take them back to your home base and kind of build it up and do all that and just help people survive out there. You get food, bandages, clothing. But what it'll do too, while you're running, you'll get like little warnings where if someone clicks in over your radio and says, you need to hurry up, there's a big horde behind you, and you actually have to sprint. So it tracks your speed. So you have to pick up your speed in order to not get caught. If you get caught, then you lose some of your resources, right? So it's actually really, really cool. And it integrates really well with the music that you already have, right? So like you can have your music on, it can play through the app, And then when the story kicks in, it'll take over from there. And it sounds like someone's talking to you over the radio. So it feels like you really have a headset on and you're running around in the field trying to gather these things and just survive. And it was really, really well done.
That's
Super
actually
clever
pretty
game.
cool.
Yeah, super clever game. And that one came out like in 2012, I believe.
Oh, wow. That's
So
old.
this is like, I feel like this is the grandfather of these really strong habit forming apps to gamify your life and to like just as far as like health wise goes. Right. And a lot of gyms now are actually doing this where like if you look at certain gyms like Orange Theory or F45, I mentioned those because I have like an understanding of those ones. But while you're working out, you have the choice to wear a heart rate monitor, right?
Yeah.
And while you're wearing it, there's actually screens around the gym that will portray your information up there. So you can actually see where you're at, see your level, see how much you need to push yourself, if you're in the right zones or not. And you can get like, you can call yourself out that way where you look and you're like, well, my heart rate is not at where it needs to be right now. And so I'm obviously not pushing myself as hard as I can. So I need to go. Right. So it's a really clever way of just figuring out a way to push yourself and give you actual statistics to look at. Right? Like as a gamer, we're used to like, oh, my strength score is 13, right? But this takes actual real like muscle mass and heart rate and, you know, all those things and puts an actual value that's important for your life. And it's the same idea as just like basic stats in any video game that you play. So it's really, really clever as far as that goes. Now, for more of like habit forming applications, if you're not looking for something that's more health related, there's a couple out there that are really interesting. And the first one I wanted to talk about was Habitica. And Habitica is actually, it's based off of an RPG game, right? So the more tasks you complete, you actually level up this little like 8-bit avatar that you have. And you can get new equipment for them and just make them stronger. And in doing so, like you completing your tasks that you set for yourself are making this little guy stronger, which is, I mean, it's fun, right? So you get to actually see your growth through an avatar, because sometimes when, let's say, working out or like when you're doing chores, like, you don't see progression, right? And that's whenever it becomes hard to just continue doing these things. So having an actual visual representation there in front of you is amazing, right? And
I agree.
this other one that I wanted to check out too, I haven't actually looked at it, but I just read a little bit on it. It's called Habit Share. And this one takes gamification and social media and combines the two, right? So you actually share the tasks that you want to complete with your little niche group, and other people see your progress and they can comment on it. So now you're creating this feedback loop there where it's not just you gaining rewards or getting little badges or little check marks on your task list. You're actually getting real world feedback on the things that you've accomplished. So it just makes it, and you can actually be held accountable for these things, right? So like it'll let you know, it'll let everybody in your group know when you didn't complete your goal. So they can call you out and be like, hey, it's like we saw that you kind of faltered there. What's up? What happened? Or like if you do something good, you get the boost of you're doing a great job. Keep it up. You know, keep moving forward, right? So it's really interesting. I really like the way that these apps are kind of coming out more and more now, because it just kind of speaks to the the gamer in me, right? Where I'm like, I'm happy to see other people playing games without realizing that they're playing games, right?
Yeah.
You're like tricking people into doing it, which is kind of funny.
But, I mean, it's like you said, it literally sometimes looks like a stats page. And for me, you're talking about an avatar, and it's like, I think about it. I think for me, if I were to see like my character actually change based off of what I did, I would be 10 times more interested in actually doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I see these blank stat sheets and I'm like, well, this is just like any other RPG where I can look at a stat page, but if I don't see actual growth, like at least in an RPG, you gain your stats, you go to a battle, you'll see the numbers tick up, right? Everything changes. Some games, like the armor changes.
Yeah.
Well, what if I didn't see that? I wouldn't really be interested in leveling them up or doing anything. It's like just a blind stat. So it's kind of cool to see like a visual representation of your work.
That was the cool
And
thing about, like, I remember playing, like, let's say Final Fantasy VII, right?
mm-hmm.
When you got a new weapon, the weapon changed. The armor didn't do anything, but like it just made you really want to find new, better weapons. So having that visual representation is just so strong and so necessary to get you to continue going. Because like trying to find, let's say, the ultimate weapon, I would not have done that quest if I couldn't see it.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's.
I'll be honest with you, when games have the option where you can see your armor and weapons, like I will go out of my way to get like ultimate weapons or like the rare stuff because I want to see it.
Yeah.
And I hate this, but when I find a game that lets you see the armor, like I'll pick that game over a different game, right? So I don't know, I'm weird like that. I guess it's like the fashion souls kind of thing in me, but I like being able to see my equips. And
well, that's just human nature. That's your progression system. Like
exactly.
That's an easy, quick way to show that I did something different, right? Or like I accomplished something. Like,
yeah.
Can you imagine doing a Destiny raid and you get your legendary equipment and then you just look like a crash test dummy, right? Like, like nothing changes. It's like, okay, cool. Like I really want to do that again. No.
You want the full set of the dummy equipment, though.
Yeah, exactly, right. I mean, if it's a full set, then yeah, of course. No, but I mean that's like anything like that, visual representations, anything that part of that feedback is just essential to furthering your growth and just trying to. It makes it easier to complete these tasks. That's for sure. One of the biggest things that I remember like growing up was whenever I wrestled, right? And wrestling is, I mean, it's an individual sport, but at the same time, it's a team sport, right?
Yeah, I've seen WrestleMania a few times.
Not that kind of wrestling, but close. We still do.
You like The Undertaker?
Yeah, but he died and came back to life like 7 times now or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, and he only comes out for WrestleMania. Go figure. But
needs to happen again.
Besides that, so but whenever I wrestled, like I remember my first year of doing it, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. It was hard, and I was a short little fat kid. Of course, I'm gonna hate working out that much. But then my sophomore year, I started to really get into it, and I was having fun doing it. And then I would see other people around me absolutely dreading it, right? And like they're not having a good time. So I kept thinking like how do you get people to be in the right mindset where like this sucks and we all know it sucks, but how do we get it to be like tolerable, right? Or even enjoyable? If you can make something that hard fun, then you're doing something right. So when my junior year came around, I ended up becoming the captain of the wrestling team. And at that point, I got to kind of like lead the practices a little bit more. My coach gave me a lot of free reign to kind of set up the drills and do things like that, right? So what we would do is like one of the simplest things that I ended up doing, which ended up working really, really well, especially during like those really hard days where we have like crazy sprints and things like that, was at the end of practice, we always did a stretch and a cool down, right? And one of the things that it sounds so like dumb, right? When you think about it, but at the end of it all, if like I felt that like we killed it and like we did a really great job and everyone did fantastic, the last stretch we would do, we called it the full body stretch. And you know that like stretch when you first wake up in the morning and you just let everything out, big breath, right? Like
that's the reason I wake up,
right? Like it feels so good, and you can do that on your own whenever you want. But if a practice didn't go very well, or some people were lagging and people weren't really working as hard as they could, we didn't do that at the end of practice. Like, we all just went home. I was like, nope, no full body stretch tonight. We're just going home.
Mm.
And like, while running it, like, if I ever mentioned like, hey, if we kill this time, we're gonna finish out our stretches the right way, people ran harder and they pushed themselves, and like that last little bit became like a weird, like, happy moment at the end of this like craziness, like a reward to look up, like, to be excited about. And it's such a simple thing that you can do on your own, but for some reason those little things, I think it was because it was a group effort and everyone coming together to do this and push each other, it just made it more memorable and more strong, right? So creating a very simple reward system to get people to push themselves. And I mean, we did a lot of like little fun games like that. We had the stretching thing. We did a bunch of like stupid, like, telling jokes while running, and like, we made sure that we were always trying to like make each other laugh while we're at practice. And it became this little thing. But I mean, that year, my junior year, we were actually ranked number 1 and we won our district and everything like that.
Nice.
And so in the previous 3 years before that, because we were a brand new high school, almost like only one person made it through to regionals, so we did horrible. So there has to be something to keeping it lighthearted, right? And just creating that team camaraderie with one another that helps boost you and better yourself, right? Like, because we put in the work, but we made it fun. And I think that's essential to everything you do.
Oh yeah, it gives you motivation to keep doing it again. That push.
Yeah, we all need that push every once in a while.
Push me off that ledge.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you again for listening. And like we mentioned before, this is the first episode of the year. So we just wanted to give you guys a topic, something to kind of think about to help better your year, to help make sure that you stay on those resolutions. And I hope that everyone's 2021 is already starting out much better and just going in that right direction. So, yeah. But yeah, thank you guys again for listening. Thank you for the support. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. And like I said, it's going to do it for us tonight. And bye.
Bye.